Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I'm your host, the voice of reason. So in the video I just posted a very short time ago, talking about the success of the Tigrayan Defense Forces as they pushed from Weldia west, seizing control of Debre Tabor, and now look to sever the vital road junction near Wareta and near Lake Tana. Now, that in terms of military achievements is fairly significant. But there's been something else going on as well that I really believe, from a military viewpoint, in terms of the ongoing conflict inside of Ethiopia. Uh, that there obviously there is another conflict raging in Oromia, between the Oromo Liberation Army and the forces allied with the Ethiopian government, the Prosperity Party, and Abiy Ahmed. But again, we had gone through a period of time where the Oromo Liberation Army was active and then inactive, and you don't really hear much about events on the ground, partially because it is such a rural environment, and it's very hard for any form of media, especially any form of Western media, to really report on the situation. But at the same time, it is a key component of the ongoing conflict against the Ethiopian state. And it's quite possibly, not absolute, but quite possibly, that a lot of the success that we are seeing now by the Tigrayan Defense Forces um, would have been much more of a challenge without the operations that have been conducted by the Oromo Liberation Army. And I just want to bring up that map again and just re-articulate just how much just the sheer activity recently that the Oromo Liberation Army has been involved in this conflict. And we're looking at quite a large area of northwestern Oromo now under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army. You're talking about hundreds of square miles of land, towns, areas that are now under the control. And the quite frankly, the Oromo Liberation Army could be knocking on the door of Finfine, aka Addis Ababa, very soon. It's very close. They're conducting operations north of Addis Ababa, and then obviously the operations that are going on in the south, where I talked about in a previous video, where security installations and bases were under siege. But the level of involvement now in the conflict that the Oromo Liberation Army is involved in is incredibly significant. And it could quite possibly have the Ethiopian government more worried about events in Oromia than quite possibly events further north. Obviously, these two events are going to eventually merge at some point, and that will make it even more complicated, so to speak. But right now, I had made that previous video, and I did not mention the events that were taking place in Oromia, and these events must be spoken about. As we are seeing a quickening, we are seeing some very aggressive operations by the Oromo Liberation Army against the Ethiopian state, and quite frankly, it would appear that the Ethiopian state, the Ethiopian military, is kind of hunkered down around near Addis Ababa. They're having immense challenges, obviously, up north, and they would appear to be trying to utilize localized security forces, federal police, regional special forces, as they call them, to tackle the Oromo Liberation Army. But quite frankly, it just doesn't appear to be doing the job. And at the same time, the Ethiopian army, that is the remnants of it that was deployed in the north is really having issues as well. So even if they were to redeploy south, it's hard to say how effective they would be, and if they even have the ability to redeploy at this point. Things are really kind of melting down for the state of Ethiopia at this point. We continue to hear about rhetoric of this mobilizations that are occurring, and yeah, we do see limited mobilization. We see a lot of media talking about mobilization, but the infrastructure to actually facilitate that mobilization simply is having a difficult time at this point in terms of mobilizing the forces needed to curtail the advance of the Tigrayan Defense Forces, or even the Oromo Liberation Army at this point. But again, just thought it was worth mentioning the OLA and the events going on further south, as I did not do that. So again, more to come as events warrant, and I'm sure they will be very soon. Have a great day, everybody.